Coming up next.
Addiction simply means you cannot say no, that's all. In the moment you can say no to anything, you're not addicted. Okay? The addiction is stronger than your free will to say no. First thesis. Second thesis is we are always craving. A craving is always a proof for addiction. A craving, let it sink in. A craving is always a proof for addiction.
Welcome to Faith Over Addiction podcast, where the chains of fixing and striving are broken and joy is rediscovered in Christ. You're here because you know there's more for you, a life beyond addiction's chaos, rooted in God's peace and promises. This is the place where Christian women like you learn to release the weight of fixing and striving and instead lean into God's strength to create a home filled with love, grace, and hope. She is clothed with strength and dignity. Proverbs 31:25. That's you. You may not feel like it yet, but you are stronger than you know. And God has so much more for you than carrying someone else's addiction. Here, we'll uncover how to set healthy boundaries with love and a little humor. Find resilience and grace in the messy moments of life. Celebrate small victories and embrace joy like never before. Lean into God's promises for restoration and strength because He's not done with your story or your loved ones. This is your invitation to rise up, embrace your worth in God's kingdom, and take back what's been stolen by addiction, your peace, your joy, your future. Your faith is the foundation, and your boundaries are the bridge, and God's truth is your guide. I'm Tanya Gioia, your host and fellow traveler on this journey through the chaos of addiction. I'm here to cheer you on, equip you with tools that work, and share the truth that's changed my life. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. Together, we'll uncover how to create safe, loving space for healing, starting with your own heart and home. By setting boundaries, trusting God's plan, and embracing His truth, you can reclaim your joy, your peace, and your family's future. Then you will be able to stand firm for your family and legacy as a kingdom daughter. A woman who can laugh at the days to come, knowing her identity is secure in Christ. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and get comfortable. Let's walk this journey together. We're about to take back what's been stolen, create a safe, healing space for you and your family, and rediscover the joy God has waiting for you. I'm Tanya Gioia. I'm the host of Faith Over Addiction. Welcome back. I am meeting with the nicest man in the world, Norbert, who has been working with addiction for the last 45 years. I want you to stick around because he has some thoughts that are not out in the general public and may help you really understand what's going on with your loved one. So Norbert, thank you for being here. And I would love to pick your brain on all the work you've done around addiction.
That's easy. My brain is very small. We're going to get done with this in 5 minutes. Then we're out of here.
So share with us your work and your definition of addiction.
Okay. Well, I got to give you something up front if you agree. So to speak, my two base. Can you share screen with me?
We can see your screen right now. Was that what you want us to see?
What can you see? Can you see my definition on health?
Yes.
Okay. So my first introduction is before any show, before I do any topics, my definition of health: body and mind in harmony. That's for me the most short, compact, true definition I could come up with. Body and mind in harmony. And when we talk about addiction, yes, we will discuss body and mind in harmony. Because addiction for me, after 45 years consulting people, is always a combination of body and mind. It's never only body, it's never only mind. And the second image I would like to show you, which is one of my basics in life. Can you see this? Rest in peace. Mankind is extinct because they believe that the laws of nature did not apply to them. We do not live with nature, but against it. Right? So this I have to bring up front because at the end of the day, I may refer several times to these phrases or when I talk about things. All right, now a quick rundown about myself. Why the hell do I speak about addiction? Because I have never been addicted in my life. In this lifetime, I never drank any alcohol. Never, ever. I never smoked cigarettes. I never smoked heavier stuff. I never took drugs. Never alcohol. Nothing. Now, I'm not a saint. Okay, I'm not a saint. I had my rock and roll times, and I still have them. But I say this for a better understanding where I'm coming from. I'm not a saint. However, I spent in my life in a former life, I don't know whether people understand former life or not, or agree, and it doesn't matter to me. For me, it's real. In a former life, I screwed terribly up with alcohol. And I died a terrible death, very painful, right? So I have a slightly different point of view as most people about addiction, because I can see what happened. The second slight different point of view, my life, I was related for a long time with two women, not at the same time, with two women who were both alcoholics. So I saw what had happened on a one-to-one. I'm not talking from the ivory tower. And I worked with these two women, which are very dear to me, still today. And they were alcoholics. Now, I get asked by people at times, why would you go together? You're an extreme non-drug addicted, any kind of addicted person, right?
Sure.
Why would you get together with people who make your life miserable by being addicted? And I said to them always, and it's my standard opinion, every addicted person, and we talk about a lot about this today, what it means to me, every addicted person has strength in different areas. And I appreciated these two women for their positive sides they had, which I never wanted to miss. I highly enjoyed their personalities, minus the addiction part. Okay. Not, of course, I didn't like the addictive part. Nobody likes that. No matter what.
Not even them.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
So these two women enriched my life, and I think I paid back and enriched their life. So this is my upfront life story about addiction. In all my life, I've been only twice, and I'm a bit aged, so I already lived an intensive life. I've been only twice sick in my entire life. I've never been to a hospital. Never, ever. However, 45 years ago, I was a management consultant, one of the youngest in Germany. I'm German. I used to live in Germany. I moved to America 25 years ago. The headquarters of my company is still in Germany. So 45 years ago, overnight, I became sick. Or let me say, overnight, I felt that I was sick. Of course, when you're sick, that builds up and you ignore the red flags. So overnight, I became very, very sick. I felt like I'm done, right? At this time, there was no internet. I looked up in the yellow pages because I needed a doctor and didn't know any doctor. And I went through the yellow pages and I made stop by accident at one name. Fine. I called the doctor. Yeah, come on over. made an appointment on a short note from one day to the other, and I came over to this place. At this time period, I happened to step into alternative medicine, which was kind of my passion. I saw previous lives when I was 3 years old. I had out-of-body experiences at the age of 3 and 10 and 16. So I had a bit of a spiritual touch, though I could never talk about it because I didn't know what the hell was that out-of-body.
Right. Right.
And you don't dare to talk about it. People think you're lunatic.
Mm.
And these 45 years ago, I went to this doctor, and because of him, I'm here today, and he changed my entire life. He checked me out, and in 10 minutes, he knew what I was all about. My liver was 3 times the size it's supposed to be.
Oh, no.
And he said, okay. He sat down with me, and I didn't know, and I learned quickly. This doctor was specialized, already 70 years at age at this time, was specialized in food addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Food addiction and food intolerance, which are 2 different things, but they can intertwine.
Mm.
Okay. So he sat down with me, and he found out in 15 minutes what was wrong. I was mesmerized. I said, Jesus. And my girlfriend at this time was with me, and he found out by just talking to me, asking the right questions, which I learned from him then, that I had a food addiction for bananas, Earl Grey tea with cream, and yogurts.
Okay. Not terrible things.
You think so?
Yeah.
And that's the point. Everybody can have a food addiction to anything.
Mm.
Okay. So, and he said to me, okay, you got to stop today to consume these 3 products, because I was living on that.
Mm-hmm.
And when my girlfriend heard me saying, well, so I cannot drink anymore this tea and with cream, he says, yeah, done. You want to live or want to die? Make a decision.
Hmm.
And he said, your liver problem is mainly because of your food addiction, and it kills you.
Wow. To yogurt, bananas, Earl Grey tea, and cream. Not the processed, not the crazy stuff. Very basic foods.
Well, so next day I was supposed to fly to Japan.
Mm.
And he said to me, well, you can't fly to Japan. You will die. If you don't go on the program now, you will die. It's just not a question if, just a question when. And I thought first he's dramatizing, but then the all over spirit of this doctor was so good that I had complete confidence in him.
Hmm.
Okay, I gotta die. He said, okay, look, I give you some injections now. Tonight, you will not sleep. You go crazy. But it's the only way for me to bridge you to take that trip. But it's your risks. I said, okay. So I flew to Japan. I made a decision to fly. I was sitting in the airport, my girlfriend watching me, and I said, look, I don't know whether I can fly. I finally took the plane, arrived in Japan, and he said, no tea whatsoever. No caffeine, no coffee, no tea whatsoever. Now, when you come to Japan, they greet you always with tea. You get a tea everywhere you go. And I just nipped at the tea just to make a gesture of friendship, not to refuse, right?
Right.
The moment these tea drops came into my mouth, into my stomach, I had the feeling that I'm burning inside.
Oh,
Fire is inside.
right.
It was terrible, painful. And I remember his words. So a week later, I was back in Germany, went straight to his office, explained to him what I experienced. And at this time, I was in alternative medicine, and I started to work with what is called kinesiology or muscle testing. I don't know if you're aware of it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So 45 years ago, hardly anybody knew about kinesiology, and very little people in Germany. It was a bit more popular very at the early stage in America, as it was developed in the 1960s by Dr. Goodhart here in America.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to practice to learn kinesiology, which was parallel to that story. It was not intertwined with that story. I was just interested in alternative medicine. Okay, so it took about 8, 10, 12 days, let's say 2 weeks, and I was out of the rough. And I was mesmerized. And I said to the doctor, we became very friendly. And I said to the doctor, look, I would love, if you agree, I would love to do an internship with you.
Hmm.
No pay, no pay. I just want to learn what you know and how you do it. And I'm not claiming to be a doctor, but I'm helping people as a management consultant. Now, I would like to add a life consultant and a health consultant without having a doctor degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he said, sure, we're together in this. And I became his most popular guinea pig.
So he tried everything on you.
I said, I'm up for everything. And the way I questioned, the way I asked questions, and the way I responded, he felt this is not an ordinary patient, okay? This is not an ordinary guy. He said, okay, we'll do this. So we worked every day except Sunday and Christmas, every day.
That's a lot of work.
And I had still my job, which I did on the side. And sometimes there were only half days, sometimes full days, but every day. And I didn't know at this time it would last for almost a year.
Wow.
So, and here is my basics and leading now to where I offer help to your listeners out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I learned is, and that may be surprising for you or not, we'll find out. I learned that, and I built my thesis on what I learned, which I then later practiced and I applied with my consultancy. The first thing is, addiction simply means you cannot say no, that's all. In the moment you can say no to anything, you're not addicted.
Mm.
Okay? The addiction is stronger than your free will to say no. First thesis. Second thesis is we are always craving. A craving is always a proof for addiction. A craving, let it sink in. A craving is always a proof for addiction.
Now, how would you define craving?
Yes. A craving is something, not desire, not say, oh, I like that. I like that is fine. If you
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, I like fish or like meat, I like both, I'll give a preference today to meat over fish, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But craving leads into addiction. A craving kind of dominates your thoughts. You go to a store, to a bakery, and you see these sweet little things sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the moment, these take over your thoughts and your attention and your intention.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stop before you have not bought them.
It's a must-have.
A must
Your,
have.
your
Very
brain
good.
says, I must have this.
Yes, very
And
good.
then you do that dance of, no, you don't need that. No, it's not good for you. Da, 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 da. But the brain overrides and says, no, we must have this.
Yes. So the other thesis is a craving is always a symptom of beginning or existing, potentially waiting addiction. The next thesis that I learned was a craving is a proof for the wrong.
Craving is a proof, proof,
For
for
the
the
wrong.
wrong.
Okay. Okay, I know that is very abstract for a lot of people. Let me give you practical examples, okay?
Mm.
Working over the years with addicted people, when an addicted person wakes up in the morning, in many cases, addiction decides the first thought, the first action.
Mm.
Example, and when we talk about addiction, we're not talking only about the typical, what we call addiction, nicotine, alcohol, hard drugs, right? That's not only addiction, okay? Addiction starts much earlier, which I explained. So you wake up in the morning and people say, I got to have a coffee first, otherwise I don't function. That's a craving. And coffee is an addiction. I wrote my book, which is called Every Coffee Drinker is an Addict, right? I wrote that book. And that book, I talk about addiction, but not only coffee, I talk about caffeine. If you're ready for this, next time we'll talk about specifically caffeine, which, to my opinion, caffeine and sugar are the widest spread drugs in the world. That they're both legal makes them so dangerous, okay?
Yes.
Okay. So addiction means you wake up with that thought and you need to have it. So typically I have to have a coffee in the morning, otherwise I don't function. And in the past times, I've found always that most of the coffee drinkers were strong smokers as well. Or the person says, I need to have a cigarette now before I function, right? You don't wake up in the morning and says, I need now a nice fresh vegetable salad.
Or carrot juice or apples or something. Well, apples have a lot of sugar, but
otherwise I don't work. Interesting enough, a lot of people have an addiction to orange juice.
yes.
And I have found when I do kinesiology muscle testing that basically nobody can digest oranges. Okay? But it's promoted. Vitamin C is healthy, right? But if vitamin C is in cocaine, does it make cocaine healthy?
No. But orange juice, on the American table, at least, orange juice has come off, one, from expense, but also because it's as bad as drinking a soda in the morning. I mean, the sugar levels are intense.
Of course. And again, I tested when I give seminars. I gave about 200 seminars and workshops live across the world up to COVID times when everything was kind of put on hold, right? And I changed to webinars, seminars, talk shows, podcasts. But I gave like 200 live seminars across the world. And in those seminars, I would test people live in front of the audience, not talking from the ivory tower. I would test them about cell phones, how cell phones destroy your body. I would test various foods to give an idea about food addiction. And I would have always an apple and an orange. I was very sneaky because I knew apple, everybody tests good. Orange, everybody tests bad. Everybody I ever tested. So the typical things, addiction, craving, back to this point, strong craving is always clear, more than a hint. You are addicted. This is addictive for you. Now, if you look at the commercials, what is in the commercials? And these people are not stupid. They spend $10 million on Coca-Cola and they know they get 100 million back. And they understand if people once started to consume that product, I have a lifetime customer, or I could say I have a lifetime victim.
Yes.
So what is in commercial? In commercial, you have sugar products, fast food, nicotine products, alcohol, milk products, energy products, soft drinks, all these, and let's face it, as well as pharmaceutical products. Okay, so these are the main advertisers about products which go through your mouth.
Yes.
And I would say 99% of all products being commercialized, advertised, are addictive. Once you start, you don't stop. So, craving for the wrong. You crave for the wrong. I never seen anybody really craving for something healthy in all 45 years. I cannot remember one case. Again, it's a difference between liking something craving and being addicted. Liking, craving, addicted. It's
Mm-hmm.
the path, right? All right. Does it make sense so far?
It makes sense, especially with the television, because you're even adding in, or whatever device you're using, you're even adding in the addiction to the device, to the video, to being spoon-fed something rather than sorting it out for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it is what I developed over 45 years, what I observed, and how I was able to help people with addiction. So the next thesis statement is you can be addicted to anything, to any food. But I came across my thesis of the three P's. I call them the three P's for like the letter P, three P's.
Mm-hmm.
You can be addicted to a product.
Mm-hmm.
We know what that means. Alcohol, nicotine, caffeine, whatever product that is, right? You can be addicted to a product. Second P, you can be addicted to a procedure or process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now people freak out there. Yes, I'll give you examples. Nowadays, we have loads of people addicted to cell phones, to screens. It's not a liking or need to do that. It's an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And even in some countries, they started to put it in the list of health problems, right? Addiction to a cell phone, example. Or I give you a more extreme example, and I go extreme here to show how deep it goes, right? You can be addicted, typically men addicted to a pole dancer bar, to a nightclub bar. They're not addicted to a specific person there or whatever. They're addicted to that process, the procedure to go in this bar, this ambience, this atmosphere, right?
Right.
Or let's
Absolutely.
say the process every Monday night football, going to bar with your friends and look at football.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes some kind of addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the most extreme one I use specifically to make people understand how deep that goes. In my definition, nobody in this world is born as a child molester or as a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
In my definition, that's my personal opinion after 45 years, we are conditioned physically or mentally.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody who sexually abuses children is an addiction to the third P of process. The rapist doesn't refer to this particular girl or woman or wife or man or whatever boy. It's the procedure of being dominant sexually over some minor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is what I understand over procedure or process. You can be addicted to a process.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. It's in line with Gabor Mate's "Where's the pain? Why am I doing this? Because I'm in pain."
So the first P was a product, the second P, the process, and the third P is you can be addicted to a person,
Yes.
which typically ends up in toxic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a balanced, emotional, stable relationship. It's a relationship which is based on chaos. So this is my thesis of the three Ps. Now back again to the products. We said which products, for example, could it be, which everybody knows, everybody understands, okay? But, and here is the big thing which I worked on over the last 45 years, starting with this particular doctor. Because he was specialized in food addiction and intolerance.
Right.
Let me quickly explain the difference. Food intolerance means physically your body cannot deal with this product.
Mm-hmm.
There is a physical reaction when you eat that product or drink that product, which in extreme cases, which I've seen with shellfish, when people eat shellfish and digest shellfish, within seconds or minutes, they collapse. They blush red all over the body.
Mm-hmm.
They just, even at extreme situations, to become unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have a food intolerance. Now, food addiction, sometimes it's intertwined, but many times it's separated. You can have somebody who has a food intolerance, but is not addicted to the food. Okay. He
Mm-hmm.
finds out, oh crap, I can't eat this. I get sick when I eat this, fine. And he stays away from it.
Stops. Yes.
But if he keeps going back to it, in spite the intellectual experience, that's a clear sign of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with this doctor, I worked that almost a year on all these topics. And I was a guinea pig in many cases where I volunteered to do things normally a doctor would never do with you.
Mm-hmm.
He would risk his license, or you could die, or you could
Mm-hmm.
be harmful, right? And I said, look, we had same thoughts about this and then the other. And I don't give examples here because I don't want people to say, oh, yeah, let me try this. If Norbert survived, I can survive too. I would wrongly motivate people, but I can tell you, we did things where every doctor says, don't do it, you can die. And every doctor would refuse to be a part of it. And I suggested, how about if we do this? He thinks I know, we agree. It's not really a problem. They just make it a problem. I said, yes, let's prove it. And we did it. And over different areas. So in this time, I developed all these theories or theses, and I applied them. So after almost a year, we then said goodbye. We both knew I learned what I needed to learn. And he had this very clear thesis and he proved it with every patient. He found out, and which I can tell you freely, clearly, very easily. I have no secret here. It's not a trade secret. The way I proceed is I'll sit down with you. If you ask me for help, I make clear I'm not a medical doctor. I cannot give you medical advice. I can just support your self-healing by finding out what's wrong with you yourself for yourself. No doctor can heal you. You have to heal yourself. A doctor can assist you if he's good, but that's what it is. So what we did then was what he did with me the first visit, and he knew in 15 minutes what's wrong with me. When today I start with a patient, or what I call a client, the first question is, do you want to live or do you want to die?
Which is what he asked you.
And you'll be surprised how often people answer, I want to die.
Huh.
Because they gave up. They've been through so many doctors, through so many pills and treatments, they lost confidence in any improvement.
Mm-hmm.
They give up. All right. So then I ask you, now tell me what you really love to eat every day, love to drink. And then they say bananas, yogurt, tea.
Right.
And so, which is already the first indicator, this is your addiction.
Because you can pull it off the top of your head right away.
This is your addiction. You know it, but you didn't see it never from this point of view under this kind of question. Okay. So then, okay, good. For the next 14 days, I want you to write down, to make a list. 14 days. Every day what you drink and eat. Now, you think after 14 days there will be thousands of products. No. You'll be surprised how little the variety is of what people eat and drink all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Very little variety. Much smaller than you think. So when they come up with this list after 14 days, the first lesson they learn, I didn't say anything before, my variety is no variety. Okay, good.
Right.
So, and then nowadays I muscle test them, which foods are good for your survival, and which food are not.
Mm.
Every product in this world has its own frequency. I have a separate show if you're ever interested in that this planet is based on frequencies only.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own frequency, unique. Every product has its frequency. And I can test every person whether this frequency is good for you or not good for you. And I developed my big thesis, which I named every product in this world and every relationship and every job you have is pro-survival or counter-survival. If you're ever interested, we can make a separate show on that, because it helps people to understand their booby traps they're surrounded with. Okay.
The self-sabotage that they're doing.
Yeah. But you have to understand that there's a pattern. A pattern I discovered, I couldn't get a patent on it. I discovered was you can take millions of frequencies in this world and all the foods, every food has a frequency, but you can separate them in two groups. Pro-survival, eat it. Counter-survival, stay away from it. Okay. So then the people write down, I test them out. And at this time when I worked with the doctor, I was then introducing him to kinesiology. He was doing this differently. He was taking your weight every day. And he was taking every day a blood test. And in the blood test, he could see the changes, and then he said, okay, these next 2 days, 3 days, you eat only potatoes, right? You ate only potatoes. And he saw by your weight, because if you cannot digest something, you add up water. It ends up as water. Okay. And you looked at the blood and saw certain parameters in the blood, right? So after 3 days, let's say potatoes, fine, no problem. He would always start with products which are pretty safe, stabilize the body and the internal well-being, right?
Right.
Then he added the next sure product, another 3 days, and the next sure product, another 3 days. And then eventually he had the basic product tested, of which he assumed are okay for you. And then he would start to add the critical product, but only 3 days at a time. Because what most people do not know, like if you have a food intolerance, the intolerance showing in your body reaction can come up in minutes, in 1 day, 2 day, maximum 3 days.
So by 3 days, you would know.
By 3 days, you know. So we knew if you eat this 3 days and have no reaction, there's no intolerance. So then I walk the people through this and make them see, and through my kinesiology tests, which are the foods. I make 2 heaps, so to speak. He made a list, and then we'll buy these foods and we'll make then the final test on the body. It was important that if you eat, like say, spaghetti, right?
Right.
That we buy the spaghetti you typically eat. Because between spaghetti company here, company B, company C, the combination of products they use in their spaghetti may be different.
Right.
You cannot say spaghetti is fine for me. No, you can say spaghetti from this company is fine for me or is bad. So then when we had this list, I asked him, okay, buy the products, and next Tuesday we'll meet and then we'll test these products. And then we tested them. And at the end of the test, you had 2 heaps in front of you. One was the counter survival and one was the pro survival. Now, interesting enough, all the products ended up many products ended up in the counter survival. The people would refuse. But I like this so much. That's my favorite. I said, I know. This is why you are addicted. It is your favorite and you cannot let it go. I'm not addicted. I said, okay, here's the deal, which I did later with coffee then as well. Very simple. You said you're not coffee addicted? I guarantee you that 99% of my readers of my book are addicted. Okay. Let's say 95% are addicted. And from these 95%, I said, look, here's your deal. You don't need to admit to me you're addicted. You have to admit it to yourself and find out for yourself. I can only give you the guideline, and I'm not judging you. So I said, look, here is the deal. That product you think is your must for you, you leave away for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. 100%. Nothing. Example, coffee. Caffeine. It's not coffee, it's caffeine, right?
Right.
And caffeine is in black tea, in white tea, in green tea. Green tea is so healthy, yeah, but it has caffeine. Caffeine is most soda pops, in all energy drinks, more and more in kind of small snacks and so on. They
Yes.
hide caffeine, you know. So I said, okay, example, caffeine. You're not addicted. You say, I'm not addicted to caffeine. So good, fine. Don't need to prove myself. Prove it to yourself. You stop today any caffeine product. Here's the list of caffeine products.
Mm.
And now let's wait to see how many hours or days you will survive before caffeine occupies your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And before you go back and gotta have it now.
Yes.
And I gotta guarantee you that 95 to 99% of all people who make that cold turkey test fail within 2, 3 days.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So what does it mean that you have the proof that you are addicted? I'm not a judge. I don't need to prove anything to me. And I also say, I have a saying, being aware of a problem is half the solution.
Absolutely.
So now you're aware of the problem. Now it's up to you. You want to change your lifestyle. You want to leave your comfort zone, which is
Mm-hmm.
hard work, or not. Now, an example which may surely surprise you, surprise everybody. While I was working with a doctor, he had one patient who was milk addicted.
Hmm.
He drank every day like 1, 2 gallons of milk.
Wow. That's a lot of milk.
Yes. And the doctor said to him, look, of course, I never made statements. I always sat and listened, right? Or
Mm.
if I came up with a good question, I would ask them, but not give any comments or statements or wrong or right. And the doctor said to him, look, if you don't stop drinking the milk immediately, you may well die. He said, I can't. I said, you don't need to come back tomorrow because you are on a death row here
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot help you.
Mm-hmm.
He came back tomorrow. He wanted to check his blood in his body again. And he came back a few more days. And finally, he stayed away. And 2, 3 months later, he was dead. He was in his
Oh.
40s, 50s.
Oh. 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 Wow.
So food addiction is, for me, the widest spread illness in the world.
Yes.
People are not aware of it. Okay. It's a habit.
Mm.
They're not aware of this habit is an addiction. And any addiction is a gateway to more addiction. Once your mind, you remember my definition, health is a balance between body and mind.
Mm-hmm.
Once your mind is in certain areas of your life on the track of addiction, other addiction will easily piggyback you on a weak situation. So I told you about these 2 women I was together with and who were addicted to alcohol.
Mm.
And I want to say this clearly to everybody out there. I know everybody of you who's aware of an addiction, you are addicted to whatever it is.
Mm.
First of all, I don't make a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly of all, I don't say I know everything in this world. I just know there are certain things I recommend which can help you to help yourself. Okay. And one thing I was able to help these women being living by my side was the fact that I had never drank alcohol by nature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there was no temptation
Right.
that they had to confront, oh, he's drinking alcohol and I cannot.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you have an addiction, it helps tremendously if the person next to you doesn't share that want or even ignores the product. Get it out of the house.
Right. So it's
Even
not there. It's not available.
not there, right? And think about one thing I always discovered. And you said something before, which reminded me on my discovery. I never judged my partner about being alcoholic. And they never saw me looking down on them.
Mm.
I always emphasized what I appreciate in their personality
Mm-hmm.
and encourage them to do more of that. Okay. Um, and the other thing is that I know from this experience and of 45 years working with clients, everybody who has an addiction feels bad about itself.
Yes.
And if they lost today the game and the addiction was stronger, they swear to God next day they will never do it again.
Mm.
And they believe it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
They're not just saying it to make me happy, to calm me down. In this moment, they really see the problem and they know it's bad. And they swear to God, I will not do it again. And this is fine until the craving, the addiction is stronger than your free will. Whether it's after a day, after a week, it doesn't matter. As long as you're not out of the danger zone, right?
Right.
And the biggest thing I found was not only a physical addiction, but a mental situation. In my observation, everybody who has an addiction, every time they lose the game of staying strong, it's another bucket in the big bucket of self-esteem, another drop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You lose self-esteem and self-respect. And this is the big booby trap. You can do anything about the um, physical withdrawal. Yeah. But as long as the person is not stable in him or herself, it's not enough. And these were what I presented now to you, my big basics exploration and findings in the way of trying to be specialized in helping people in addiction. And a person who has people around him and her, husband, spouse, parents, children, who are permanently invalidating the person as a person because of the addiction.
Mm-hmm.
The person has a hell of a fight to get rid of it.
Yes. It makes it 10 times harder.
Okay. So the understanding, the true understanding and the love for that person is a basic to try to help them. And there are other things, of course, which I teach and which I practice with them and which I point out to them um, to get out of the addiction. But today, thank you for the time. It was my introduction, how I, as a nothing addicted person, would work on this field. And in my book, last word in my book, Coffee Addiction, I was warning from the pulpit, from the stage of my seminars about caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right? And when the lockdown came down and I couldn't travel and give seminars, I said, well, basically everything I teach or I explain, not calling teaching, I have experienced by myself or by a person next to me.
Mm-hmm.
But caffeine, coffee, I never experienced. So when the lockdown came and I couldn't give seminars, I decided to turn myself into voluntarily into a coffee addict.
Oh no. Oh no.
Hey, it's the price of science. Okay.
Yes. How did
Okay.
you come back out?
We talk about next time in the coffee show.
Yes. Let's do the coffee show. The other show I want to do, Norbert, and we'll wet people's whistle with this, is the addiction to a person. That's often what my audience is either knowingly or unknowingly dealing with. The person they are loving is addicted to a substance or something, pornography, video games, whatever, and they're addicted to that person. So we'll have to do another show with that.
Well, this is how I buy into new shows, you know. I give you the bait and I catch you with my bait, right? My,
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. We will put everything down in the notes, links on how to find you, but just give us, for those who are listeners more than readers, where can folks find you? What are your .coms?
You just step outside the house and you say, Norbert, where are you? And I will answer. The world is all about frequencies, right? I have a
Right.
very simple to remember website.
Mm,
I try to make a website, even if you're half drunk, if you're half asleep, if you're not paying attention, you can remember. My website, improve your life, and as we're in the United States, .us. Improve your life.us. I assume everybody wants to improve the life, right?
yes,
And my job
absolutely.
is to help you to improve your life. Improve your life.us.
Thank you, Norbert. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Faith Over Addiction podcast. Remember, nothing changes until something changes. Today is your day to step out in faith and make a difference. You are a daughter of the King, a woman who can spark incredible ripple effects of hope and healing, not just in your own life, but in your family, your community, and God's kingdom. If this episode encouraged you, bless someone else by sharing it. Send it to a friend who needs a little hope, or post it on Instagram and tag me. I'd love to hear what resonated most with you. And hey, if you're ready to reclaim your God-given identity and create a safe, loving space for yourself and those you care about, let's talk. Book a quick call with me today, and I'd love to hear your story and help you take the next step. Oh, and don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts, search for Faith Over Addiction, and leave me a review. Your feedback not only makes my day, but helps other women find this podcast and step into freedom too. You are strong, you are loved, and the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. Until next time, keep walking boldly into the life God has for you.